Thank you, Gabriel. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whoever you love, we welcome you. Whether you are here in person or attending online, thank you for being here and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland. My name is Lynne Coulter. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a worship associate at this congregation. For those of you who are new today, I'll take a moment to tell you about our congregation. We gather on the original lands of the Erie, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples, also known as the Three Fires Council. We recognize that we need to learn more about the complex and often painful history of the place we live, to care for the land we inhabit, and to show respect to the diverse peoples and cultures who preceded us, as well as those who gather here now. Because of this, our congregation is developing a relationship with the Lake Erie Native American Council. Our congregation is a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. And as a Unitarian Universalist, or UU congregation, we are a non-creedal community. This means that we do not require anyone to subscribe to a specific set of beliefs to be a member of the congregation. Instead, we live by a covenant that encourages ethical behaviors, affirms democracy, celebrates the worth of each individual, and unites us in a search for meaning and reverence for the great mystery that is life. We are a welcoming congregation, which affirms all persons who choose to participate in the life or activities of our community, regardless of color, national origin, gender, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, physical or mental abilities, or economic status. If you would like to learn more about us, please take a moment to fill out the gray pamphlet found in the pew rack in front of you. Someone will contact you to answer your questions and help you feel welcome in this community. You may also visit uucleveland.org and send an email to us from there. As we enter sacred space, please silence any audible cell phones, alarms, and other devices to avoid distractions during the service. Our chalice lighter this morning is Cynthia Taylor, who will be hearing from more in a little bit later in our service. Reverend Michelle Collins brings us this morning's chalice lighting to practice the revolutionary act of noticing. Come, awaken your senses to this moment where we practice the revolutionary act of noticing. The breath that sustains us, the beauty hiding in ordinary hours, the small things that keep hope alive. Come, let us train our attention on that which leads us home.
Thank you, Linda. Good morning. My name is John Bacon, and I'm a worship associate who's echoing. Okay. I'm a worship associate here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland, standing in for Randy Partain while he's on sabbatical this quarter. Listen, please, to the words of Samantha Lynne Wilson. Choosing to focus our attention is countercultural. Daily, we are called to worship at the altar of many devices. Surveillance systems we let take lead. Headlines set purely on our activation. We are entrapped. Instead, here, we are called to bring our attention to the altar of unpredictable human relatedness. We are called to focus all our attention on a foolhardy and open-hearted commitment to share a future together we cannot cancel or control. In a moment, we'll sing hymn number 83, Winds Be Still in the gray hymnal. But before that, please rise and welcome your neighbor and each other. You see a new person floating around. Say hello.
We now welcome Cynthia Taylor to the pulpit as she shares a moment of gratitude with us.
Good morning. My name's Cynthia Taylor, and it's a pleasure for me to be sharing with you today my testimony of the meaning of this beautiful congregation for me today and over the years. And that is also the reason that I give financially every year and pledge my financial support to help maintain our congregation. UUCC has been a loving, caring, safe, and multifaceted container for me and my family that has provided many different kinds of experiences and opportunities over the years. Acceptance, creativity, compassion, social connection, and social responsibility are at the heart of what I hold dear about our community. Since I first came here in 1980, hard to imagine, this focus of my involvement here has taken many different forms, from volunteering in the nursery and having potlucks with other young families who were balancing the challenges of family and working life, to then moving on to meeting new friends in the group of ushers, to facing the challenges and creative opportunities of serving in various leadership positions, and in recent years, being a part of small group ministries that have provided a source of deeply meaningful friendships, connections, laughter, and love. Another cherished congregational value is welcoming individual initiatives. Creative ideas come alive through enthusiastic support, openness, acceptance, and community collaboration. And for me, this has taken the shape of a Rwanda project to sponsor educational opportunities for young men in Rwanda. And that also included being welcome to teach mindfulness and yoga classes to financially support this project. For many of you, this has taken the form of permaculture garden, the solar panel carport, all the different projects with the McKim Fund, many outreach projects that we've housed both for the homeless here and continue in serving food for the needy and helping in schools, and many other projects that are dear to your hearts and that others have stepped forward and provided their support to make these come true. The social responsibility aspect is also a part of our congregation, as was witnessed yesterday when we got together at the rally, and also in previous weeks to make our posters together. There's really no end to what can be accomplished and what would be done when we weave together vision, values, creativity, and dedication in collaboration with each other. Over the years, I have experienced this congregation continue to develop care for each other, connection, and meaning beyond that of each individual member. One nominal way that this can be seen is in our changing our meetings from church meeting to congregational conversation. With the changes in leadership, in ministry, and in societal expectations, our congregation has maintained an inclusive sanctuary over the years. And this has come from our commitment to each other and our continued dedication to our values. Our congregation is truly a home away from home, a family by choice. As we embark on plans for building renovations with a vision to the future, I believe it is essential that we address the ongoing financial needs required to support our staff and keep the mortar in this building so the building is firm until we are able to make these renovations. Giving with as much generosity and consideration to what is appropriate for your situation, give some thought about what the congregation has provided for you, what opportunities it might provide in the future for yourself, your family, your friends, and especially the children of all ages who benefit from the continuing welcoming love and acceptance that this congregation embodies. Together, we are creating this vibrant and caring community. Spiritual leaders, including the Dalai Lama and Thich Nhat Hanh, have predicted that in the future, the great spiritual leaders of the world will not be an individual, it will be the community. And our congregation certainly gives witness to this wisdom.
As a congregation, we share the joys and concerns carried here by all of us each week. We already have some stones in the bowl to represent some of the joys and concerns we share. For those of you online, you can share ones you want to with the congregation by adding yours to the comment below the video. There'll be a chance for everyone to come up in a moment to place a stone in the bowl, but here are the ones that have been written in the book for sharing. Harry Greenfield is now home, recovering from his cardiac surgery, and we saw him out walking around earlier today. Sending comfort and love to Peggy Lagodny, who lost her sister this week. What else would you like to acknowledge that you bring with you today? I invite you to come forward and place a stone in the water. And if you're not coming forward, I invite you to send love and care to those who are, and to pause to think on the things that are most meaningful to you. We place a stone for the joys and concerns shared today online, and another stone for those joys and concerns which are not quite ready to be shared. May our congregation be a place where our joys can be celebrated and magnified, and our concerns can be shared and lessened. May the winds be still, and may all find tranquility.
Good morning. Some days I am trying to be Reverend Randy Pertain. Some Sundays I'm trying to be Jenny Papp. One day I'm going to try to be Elaine Strawn again. We'll see how that goes. So today is a story about attention, paying attention. And the story involves a lake. And I wonder if we could pretend that this area right here is like a beach. And there's like a lake here. Can you pretend you're on a beach? You're not, the water isn't going to come get you. It's just sand. I'm even going to put out a beach towel. And it's a story about purple martins. It's not exactly a seasonal story, but it's about migration. And it's about two people that were trying to pay attention. Do you all ever have trouble paying attention? Does anybody out here ever have trouble paying attention? Bunch of Quakers and meditators all love you, right? I have trouble paying attention. But to tell the story, I need two volunteers to sit up here and pretend to be the beachcombers that come to witness the great migration of the purple martins. Two very, come right on up here. Thank you. So I want you to pretend that you're sitting on a beach in front of, have a seat either place, and you're sitting on a beach, this great beach. And could you sit right here? That'd be great. And all of this is a great ocean. I know that takes some, yeah. But we've come to see the Great Migration, so you're going to need something. You're going to need binoculars. Will either of you hold the binoculars? Thank you. So the purple martins, every August, thousands and thousands of them fly into the area called Lake Nimisila, which is south of here. And they fly there because there are reeds. You know what reeds are? Those big pieces of grass that grow up in the lake. And the reason they want to do that is because they can fly right into those reeds and hide so nobody gets them, so they can sleep, right? So thousands and thousands in the sky. And so these two people, they decide they want to go on a picnic to Lake Nimisila. What might you take in your picnic basket? A sandwich?
Strawberries.
Strawberries. Anybody else take something else? Water. Cookies. Great. That sounds like a great picnic. Maybe I'll go on that picnic too. Sounds like a great picnic. So you're there and you're going to eat your picnic, but what you really want to see are the purple martins. But you know, while you're there, you got there a little early because you didn't know if there'd be crowds, because there are thousands and thousands of purple martins. You don't know, people might come from all over Ohio to see those martins, right? Right. So you want to get there early so you get a good seat in front of this great beach right here. And what might you see on the beach? What might you see?
Crabs.
Crabs. You might see crabs on the beach. Yeah. What might you see?
Other people.
Other people, right? What might you see?
Sharks.
Sharks? Well, maybe not in Nimisila, but maybe.
Birds.
Boards? Birds, sorry.
Like beach towels.
Beach towels, right? You might see that. And you know what else you might see? Yeah.
Shells.
Shells, right?
Beach balls.
You know what's happening with all this? I'm seeing all this great stuff. I'm losing attention. I'm supposed to be watching for purple martins, but I see those great beach balls. You know what else I saw once when I went there? I saw this guy going by on a paddleboard. He was pretty interesting. I watched him in the lake. There are lots of fish. Once I even saw this young woman that had gone there to have her picture taken for her high school senior pictures. It was kind of cold that day. She just had a really light dress on, but she was going to make a great senior picture, I'll tell you. So, time goes on. So they're done with their sandwiches. They've drunk most of their water. They've eaten most of their strawberries. They're to the cookie stage. The sun is starting to come down, and they're still looking around. In this great lake of Nemasilla, they're still looking around to find out about the purple martins. You know what? The sun went clear down, and they never saw any purple martins. Oh, they had been paying such clear attention, right? Because they saw the person, and they saw the crabs, and they saw the sharks. They saw everything, but they never saw their purple martins. So what they did was they packed up their picnic basket that's now empty, right? So it's going to be really light. And they're headed back to their car to put the picnic basket in the trunk of their car. And they meet this other guy that's walking to his car. And they look really sad. And he says, "What's the matter with you?" And they said, "We came all this way to see the purple martins. But we never saw any purple martins. Are they just not coming this year?" And he said, "Look up. The birds are in the sky. See Miss Sharon up there? She's being a purple martin. She's flying around up there." A bird with a kick. Because sometimes it's hard to figure out what we're going to pay attention to, right? And I miss things. Do you ever miss things? Boy, I miss a lot of things by not paying attention. I miss the martins in the sky sometimes. I miss a lot of things. But that's what we're going to do today. John is going to talk about our attention, and I'm going to listen for hints about my inattention and try to grow from this. Thank you, you guys, so much for coming up. Thank you for your answers and for helping me tell my story.
In a few days, it will be April, which is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. In support of this, we will share a portion of this morning's collection played with the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center. CRCC was founded in 1974, and its vision is the elimination of sexual violence. Last year, the center provided over 15,000 survivor support interactions, connecting survivors to safe housing resources, providing therapy sessions, advocating for clients' rights, and more. One of these survivors is Kim, who couldn't accept that she was not the cause of her abuse. She thought it was her fault, that she was to blame for the abuse she endured at the hands of her stepfather when she was a teenager. Nightmares and flashbacks haunted her for years. Like many other sexual assault survivors, she turned to drugs and alcohol to escape. She explained, "I medicated myself so I didn't have to deal with the pain." During her recovery process from addiction, traumatic flashbacks began to overwhelm her. She didn't know where to turn or how to deal with the emotions she was experiencing. That is when she found Cleveland Rape Crisis Center. She said, I don't know if it was just being at the center or my specific counselor. I just got a warm welcome. It was like I had been going there for years. I was able to talk honestly to my counselor and really open up. She helped me realize I was going to get through this and I was going to be okay. The Cleveland Rape Crisis Center provided counseling to Kim, which allowed her to begin healing. She admits that it was often deeply painful to talk about the trauma she had endured, but the more she went, the more she realized she had the power to control her own life, and healing followed. I had always blamed myself for what happened, Kim remembers, and with the center's help, I was able to see that it wasn't my fault. I was just a child. Forgiving myself helped me to forgive my mother and stepfather. Kim also credits her counselor at the center with encouraging her to pursue a career in mental health and substance abuse field. She realizes that she can make a difference in other people's lives the same way Cleveland Rape Crisis Center did for her. This morning, please give responsibly and as you are able to support Cleveland Rape Crisis Center by placing cash or checks payable to UUCC in the collection plate as it goes around. You may also contribute electronically. UUCC's preferred platform is Zelle. There's more on the blue card in front of you. Direct donations to donate@uucleveland.org. Or you may direct Cash App contributions to $UUCC 44122. Indicate on the memo line if your contribution is for today's plate, Cleveland Rape Crisis Center, your annual pledge, or something else. Our meditative reading is by the Reverend Lynne Cox. Bring us close to the earth, ground our being. Bring us close to the earth, ear to the whispering grass, quietly, attentively, waiting with slow breaths, listening for the very stones to cry out. Help us to remember. Help us to piece together our oneness with matter, our oneness that matters.
Thank you for the reading, Linda. I need to start this off with a true confession. It's nothing too juicy, so don't get too excited. But I'm fascinated by bumper stickers. Okay, it amazes me that we sort of define ourselves by putting little pieces of magnets or pieces of paper on the back of our car. Okay. And it can be anything as banal as this car climbed Mount Washington, all the way to something really pithy and very topical that's really meaningful. And I never actually had a bumper sticker before 3 or 4 years ago, and I was walking through the Ace Hardware parking lot, and I looked down, and there it was, my bumper sticker. There's a class of bumper stickers that goes something like, I'd rather be playing golf, or I'd rather be fishing, or I'd rather be petting my Shih Tzu, or I'd rather be digging in my flower garden, okay? Well, mine was, I'd rather be here now, okay? So I bought one of those, and I reported it out to the men's group, and Lou Salza said, that's very zen of you, John. And I said, yeah, you're right. So the operative word there, though, is rather. Okay, I'd rather be here now, because I'm not like this Zen master who's always got perfect equanimity and is always in the moment, right? In fact, sometimes I just sort of wonder where the time goes. You know the feeling, right? Yeah, you swear it was January about 10 minutes ago, and all of a sudden someone's asking you about your summer plans. What happened, okay? Or, you sit down to check one email, and then an hour later you look up and you're deep into reading some article that you had no intention of reading, but there it is. And we ask, where did the time go? And the honest answer is often, it went by while we were somewhere else. Which brings us to today's theme, paying attention. Not the kind of paying attention that involves coffee, spreadsheets, and being quizzed later, but the spiritual kind. The kind that asks, am I actually here for my own life? Ram Dass in Be Here Now noticed something that many of us have independently rediscovered while standing in the shower or driving on autopilot. Our bodies are usually in one place and our minds are elsewhere. Right? Physically, we're brushing our teeth, but mentally, we're replaying an awkward conversation from 2009. Or we're eating lunch and, we're also planning dinner, worrying about tomorrow, and composing a response to an email that hasn't even arrived yet. Ram Dass gently pointed out that while this is very human, it's also a bit tragic because life itself is happening right now, right where we are, when we're not looking. Eckhart Tolle points out the same thing. He says, yes, that exactly. In The Power of Now, he argues that most of our stress and suffering stems from spending our lives oscillating between the past and the future. We regret, we rehearse, we worry, we plan, and all the while, the present moment, the only place where life can actually be lived, is treated like a hallway we rush through on the way to somewhere else more important. Zen Buddhism, characteristically, says that all of this with fewer words and no small talk. When asked about the essence of spiritual practice, Zen teachers often respond with things like, when hungry, eat. When tired, sleep. Or perhaps, when I cut vegetables, I cut vegetables. Now this is one that really spoke to me. It was like, oh, I get it. When I cut vegetables, I'm just supposed to be cutting vegetables, you know? Chop, 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 be here now. If I'm focusing on something else, I might just slice my finger off, okay? And I might make a hash out of the vegetables too. When I get present, it focuses a lot quicker. Hence the quirky title to today's service, right? I'd rather be cutting vegetables if I'm gonna cut vegetables. Just pay attention to what's happening now. If we're honest, a lot of us are living on autopilot. We drive home, we don't remember the drive. We eat meals and we barely taste. We listen while simultaneously planning what we're going to say next. Sometimes we even miss entire weekends this way, or years. Okay? And here's where psychology sort of gently but firmly enters the conversation. Researchers have studied what we like to call multitasking. It turns out that our brains aren't nearly as impressed with us as we are. What we're actually doing is switching back and forth very quickly, paying little attention to a lot of things, and doing none of them particularly well. Every switch costs us time, energy, and focus, even when we don't notice it. We feel productive, but the research shows we make more mistakes, remember less, and feel more stressed. In other words, when our attention is fragmented, our experience of life is fragmented too. This isn't just a productivity problem, it's a presence problem. And yes, this includes all of us who are absolutely convinced that we're very good at multitasking. The data suggests we are not. It's not because we're lazy or ungrateful, it's because modern life is extremely good at training us not to be present. We're constantly encouraged to think ahead, what's next, what's coming, what needs to be improved. Even our downtime is often filled with preparation for the next thing. And when we're not pulled into the future, we're pulled into the past. We replay mistakes, we revisit old stories, we think about who we were, who we could have been, and who we should have been by now. We bounce back and forth, past to future, future to past, rarely landing in the present for very long. And the problem with that is simple. If you're not paying attention to the present moment, your life is passing you by. Not in a poetic way, in a very literal way, because life only happens now. Now, before anybody panics, this doesn't mean that we must stop thinking altogether. We're not aiming for, like blissful, empty-headed enlightenment 24/7. Okay? Imagination is a gift. Planning is useful. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance, right? Remembering is human. And it seems like most of our insight comes from analyzing our own mistakes, our own emotions, and our own motivation, and correcting them, not hearing from mom and dad what we ought to do or not do, right? What Zen, Ram Dass, and Tolle invite us to do is to change our relationship to our thoughts. Instead of living inside them, we notice them. Instead of being dragged around by them, we step back. Instead of assuming they are reality, we check in with what's actually happening. Your breath, the feel of your feet on the floor, the sound of someone clearing their throat nearby. Zen calls this just this. Tolle calls it the now. Ram Dass says, be here. Different accents, same message. Of course, paying attention isn't always pleasant. Don't expect a lot of dopamine zaps, okay? If it were pleasant all the time, we'd all be doing it, right? But when we slow down and become present, we don't just notice beauty and calm. We also notice boredom, restlessness, anxiety, grief. And frankly, sometimes that's why we distract ourselves in the first place. Zen practice is famously unsympathetic to avoidance. The instruction is basically sit down, shut up, and notice what's happening. Whatever it is, and then learn from it. Tolle points out that when we stop arguing with the present moment, when we stop saying, this shouldn't be happening, something shifts. The situation may not change, but our suffering often does. Ram Dass learned, or perhaps relearned, this in a very personal way after his stroke. He spoke candidly about how much pain came not from the stroke itself, but from resisting what had happened. Presence, he found, didn't fix everything, but it made room for compassion. Paying attention doesn't guarantee happiness, but it does help you see life for what it is. There's also something deeply relational about this practice. When you're not present, we tend to half listen. We interrupt, we assume, we respond to our own internal monologue instead of the person in front of us. But when we really pay attention, when we put the phone down, quiet the commentary, and actually listen, we offer something rare. Thich Nhat Hanh once said, the greatest gift you can give another person is your presence. Not your advice, not your wit and wisdom, your presence. In a distracted world, paying attention is an act of love. So how do we do this? Not by trying to be perfectly mindful forever. Not by turning presence into another thing we feel bad about not doing well enough, okay? We practice by returning. You notice you've been lost in a thought for 10 minutes. You come back. You realize you're rushing through a conversation. You slow down. You catch yourself living in tomorrow. You return to now. That's it. Returning to the breath, it's not just for meditation anymore. Zen teachers say enlightenment is an accident, but practice makes you accident-prone. Practice is not staying present. Practice is noticing when you're not present and gently returning. Ram Dass was fond of reminding people, be kind to yourself. Minds wander. It's their job. So here's the invitation for today. Your life is not waiting for you once things calm down. It's not scheduled for some future version of yourself who finally has it all together. It's happening now, in ordinary moments, in small details, in the breath you just took. Paying attention won't solve everything, but it will allow you to actually be here for the life you're living, and that's a pretty good place to start. So please join me in Song 298, Wake Now My Senses, in the great hymnal. So for announcements, all the fabulous volunteers for our UUCC pre-trial support team are invited to the potluck Thursday, April 2nd at 5:30 at Fellowship Hall. Please bring a dish to share. And Stewardess wants us to know that this Tuesday, March 31st, is the date they've asked for pledges to be turned in for our 26-27 fiscal year. They'll be at a table at coffee hour downstairs with pledge cards and info about the campaign. And don't worry if you don't have your pledge in by Tuesday. A member of the committee will follow up with you directly to get your pledge. And if that sounds uncomfortable, just turn it in today. One time I asked a teacher, why is meta, loving kindness, so powerful? And she said to me, it's hard to be angry or hateful when you're wishing others well. So please join with me in this benediction based on spiritual practice of loving kindness. Friends, may you be free from hatred. Friends, may you be free from ignorance. Friends, may you be free from suffering. Friends, may you be happy.
If you could choose or pick up your yellow card from the pew rack and join your voices together with the extinguishing the chalice words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.